recording and start the stream. And now we are live. Welcome to Horsin Around, a dumbass cast. I'm your host, as always, Nick Mercadante, and with me today I have three lovely guests. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Brown. Hello, I'm award-winning animator Patrick Amorio.
Yep. Next.
And I'm award-winning hat wearer Christian Beekman.
I'm a not award-winning shithead, Nicholas Mercadante.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jack. Also, when you leaned into the mic, it was literally just your forehead. Like that. It looked fucking great. Well, okay, hold on, Beeks. I want to. We were talking about something, but you specifically mentioned your hat in your introduction. What is on your hat there? You've got this logo or flag, I assume, of white and blue.
The flag of the best country in the Ace Combat Strange Reel. The
okay.
Chad
Fake.
It's real to me, damn it.
Okay.
No,
I was worried you were gonna bust out with like Israel or something.
Yeah, sorry, not that blue and white.
Israel, as far as I know.
It is not that blue and white flag. He's got some fucking Ace Combat country flag on his head. Did you just get that from like a website? It's like a patch.
Yes.
Very nice.
I'm trying to remember. Was it Strange Reel?
Halo Infinite. What? Oh, Stranger Things.
Yeah, new trailer dropped today.
Wait, what are we posting? Where's the?
It's the topic stock in the description or in the Horsin Around description.
The best spring break ever. Season 4 when?
Yeah, they didn't put a date at the end of the trailer, so that was really cool.
Oh, okay, well, never mind then.
They might have...
I got it from strangereelpatches.com.
Yeah.
If you would like to purchase your own.
Yeah. Drop it
all
in the
Ace Combat games, and also some other video games and anime bullshit. If you want that merch.
Fun.
I hate anything animated. Animation's stupid.
Me too.
Animation? Never heard of them.
Animators?
Objects were not meant to move. They have played us all for fools.
Honestly.
That's my favorite meme format of the past year. It's been those.
What is it? What's the origin? What's the...
Just I don't know, but it's just like the format of just like whatever subject that you... It's like, humans were not meant to do math.
I love the oh shit, what? Oh, the format of somebody saying something that is like they know has already happened or is very clearly something that has happened, and then a post down they're like, by Talos, this cannot be happening.
By Talos, this cannot be happening.
It's the fucking Gift of Prophecy-esque bullshit, but yeah, it's the month of November, which means it is definitely totally Christmas time and not anything else, because this cursed place needs to commercialize the holiday season as quickly as possible. And I'm wearing my...
We missed celebrating Guy Fawkes Day, so...
Well, actually, we missed celebrating
by all of 24
Destiel
hours.
Confirmed Canon Day.
I hate you so much.
Please.
I rewatched Supernatural.
Why did you do that?
Because I hate myself. Well, so I stopped at like season 5 when they introduce Chuck.
Okay.
Because that's when the show goes off. Chuck is a god in universe, apparently.
Oh, nice.
Really cool that they just named him Chuck.
He's
the
a random author
name.
who writes books.
But he's also
Have
God.
you
universe,
seen
and I
Jared
hate it.
Padalecki's Walker
Nope.
Texas Ranger reboot?
Nope.
Oh man.
I don't want to.
I
saw him in something else. I saw his name on something else recently and immediately turned around.
Well, it's the other guy is coming into The Boys, right? He's a new character in The Boys. Which?
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I
not
don't know how I feel
Soldier
about
Boy.
that.
Yeah, but what's the actor's name? It's Palecki
Jensen
and
Ackles.
Jensen Ackles.
Jensen
Yeah.
Ackles, yes.
Yeah.
Jenny Ankles.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
him.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, he looks alright. But yeah, dude, if I wanted to watch a Walker Texas Ranger reboot, I just watched all of Chuck Norris's Bowflex commercials, and that's where I get my fill.
I was so irate. I binge. I was like sick a few weeks ago, and so I was just like on HBO. I'm like, I need something just to happen in front of my face. So I watched all the first season of the show, and nobody got roundhouse kicked through cardboard boxes one time.
Oh shit!
What a disappointment.
Bullshit.
Really? Why even bother making
Bullshit.
it? Is it
Who's
like
making
trying?
this show?
So did you say it was like gritty and shit? Like just
Not
not.
really gritty. I mean, it's on the CW, which is weird. It's very CW-eyed. There's a lot of twisty drama, and I don't know.
Speaking
Jared
of the
Padalecki as
CW.
Walker just seems kind of like a kind of a buffoon rather than a badass like Chuck Norris was in the show. So it's like weird. But his wife was murdered.
Well, he can act, which is a major difference.
Are you what are you trying to imply there, Jack? Hold on.
I'm not implying anything. I'm saying that Chuck Norris can't act.
Chuck Norris was not hired for his acting skills. He was hired for his ability
Much
to
like
do martial
fucking
arts.
Roddy Piper in They Live.
Whoa. Listen. Don't want to talk shit about Rowdy Piper and that. God damn it.
I'm not,
Better
but
take that back, or you're gonna start eating this trash can.
But yeah, so that's that did happen yesterday, as did the 5th of November. That is crazy that it's been a year since that, like, all of that shit. There was so much going on. There was the
I had
election.
blocked it out of my mind until now.
It was a traumatic.
So I'm a little annoyed that you brought it back up. I'm gonna be real.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't ignore it because I, again, still use that cursed website on the regular. So
yeah.
You're just not.
Break it down for me.
I mean, it was the fucking the Angel and the Winchester brother were confirmed to, well, just the Angel actually, because then the Winchester
They
brother
were
was
actually
like,
not confirmed.
yeah,
That was
the Angel was
the
like, I
drama.
love you, and then they got sent to the nothingness. They didn't even get sent to Super
No,
Hell.
Super Hell.
No, it wasn't Super
Yeah.
Hell. See, that was the
It
thing.
wasn't Super Hell.
No, or maybe it was, but then it wasn't the same as some other hell that they have.
I didn't actually watch it. So
I didn't. I never will, and that's totally okay. I can live my whole life without watching it. I've experienced Supernatural almost entirely through Tumblr, and that's exactly the amount of Supernatural I need to experience.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
but yeah, so that happened, and it was as queerbaity as pretty much everybody should have seen coming for the past 15 seasons of it happening that way. But it was just, Tumblr melted down over it. And it wasn't even the season finale. Like, there were like 2 or 3 more episodes after that point.
Anyway, Supernatural sucks.
Yeah, this is known. But then that was also...
begging you to talk about literally...
I've only ever seen one episode of Supernatural, but I've seen it multiple times, because every time I would just, like, be up at a weird time.
Which episode is it?
The bank robbery episode. And
that's not a bad one.
Yeah, and I just remember, because I forget which song plays, but they like sneak out of the bank and SWAT team uniforms.
Yeah.
That's all I remember about it, and that's the only episode of Supernatural I've seen, because that's I only ever caught it on like TNT reruns, and for whatever reason, like the 3 times I watched Supernatural, it's just that episode.
The first like 3 seasons are genuinely good.
Okay.
And then after that, they developed a really strong fan following.
Yep.
And they started leaning into doing whatever the mob wanted. Which,
except they still didn't, because if they did, they would have made Death Steel canon like 15 seasons ago or whatever the fuck.
Well, so there's like an interesting distinction there.
Well, it's the same thing they did with Sherlock, right? Where the fucking head writer for the show for Sherlock like vehemently hated the fans or something, and so they actively spent like time in the show to shit on their fans before doing their own thing that completely contradicts.
They do in fact do that.
So you don't need to care.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
There is a scene where the 2 main characters, who are brothers, find out that people want them to have sex, and they're both disgusted.
Yeah. I mean, okay, see, that one is valid, because those people are disgusting, but then they also just hate the fans in every other regard, so...
yeah, but there's... okay, well, I don't really want to talk about this. But there are some very obvious plot points that are...
continues to go deeper into Supernatural
There are some
lore.
plot points that are very obviously influenced by what the fans wanted at the time. Namely, the running off of, like, every female character who was even close to becoming a love interest for either one of the main characters.
Oh, so they were gonna be like this is their love interest, but then they fucking throw them away almost instantly.
They spend like seasons setting up women to not necessarily become a love interest, but to become like involved with the main characters, not even in the romantic sense.
It even outside of that, it handles female characters pretty.
It's fucking
poorly.
awful.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, they like at least one of them still ends up married off to one of the female characters.
I don't know, Nick.
But
I did not finish the show.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever the fuck, it's bad. I agree with you, Jack.
It's
bad
not
show.
Good.
It's just funny that it somehow the fact that it even got 15. I like the fact that show was still running.
The first couple seasons are good.
When the fact that show was still running when November 5th of 2020 rolled around was news to me. I had no idea that show was still airing at that point, and then I was like,
it was decently popular for the CW. They're like, yeah, we'll fucking keep greenlighting this.
Yeah. That seems to be the case for a lot of CW shows that probably shouldn't keep getting seasons.
The CW is very good at just keeping things alive.
Yeah.
The CW
every single one of their like DC shows.
Right, yeah. Arrow
sucks ass.
Fucking Flash.
Arrow bad. Flash bad. Legends of Tomorrow, which I'm currently halfway through, bad.
Working on them, I hear, is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the fucking CG that they put into those shows?
Oh no, yeah.
Fucking dog shit tier.
I've heard that a lot of the cast does not like working on the shows, and like I imagine that also translates to the crews not enjoying working on the shows.
Like are they like I can imagine them
because
they just pump them out constantly.
After,
like it is like clockwork, so they have to be just working insane hours, I imagine.
And they're like full seasons of TV.
Yeah,
they're like 20
they're like not half-hour episodes either. They're like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I would be personally exhausted after the third time my character died on a sideshow in a spin-off episode.
I'd be exhausted after the third episode of whatever the fuck I was working on for the CW.
Yeah, I cannot imagine, like,
I liked Arrow for a few seasons.
Arrow goes off the rails.
Well, that's what it sounds like another trend of CW shows where they have ideas for the first couple seasons, and then they stop having ideas, and then they're just listening to what the fans want, and then they just vaguely align.
Or the show lasts a season and just gets...
Or that, yeah.
Acts such as the CW military adventure show, Valor.
Oh.
About pilots in a thinly veiled analog for 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, called the Shadow Raiders.
Man, I can't imagine why that failed on a network that is known for just pandering to like middle-aged white women.
I'm trying to remember. It might have been like everybody was greenlighting military shows. Like that season was like 2016. And there's like a History Channel show about SEAL Team 6.
Mm-hmm.
There was the CBS show about SEAL Team 6, which is pretty good and is still running.
Mm-hmm.
There was an NBC show about another special. Like everyone was like, we need.
Well, as soon as that fucking Bin Laden op happened, everybody was just like, shit, we gotta fucking make a SEAL Team 6 show.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we got him.
We got him.
What season is Riverdale on now?
Riverdale just like
you talk about cursed shows. That is a whole other deal.
I'm in the minority in this. I'm like, I like the first season of that show because it's like
the first season is like not bad. Yeah,
and it's like it's sort of ridiculous, but not too far. And it's like, yeah, I can believe these. Are real people
it's like
who are having
crappy, but in a clearly like intentional way.
Yeah,
like, I just don't really mesh with the style.
These kids solve a mystery, and then like the show just kind of like goes insane.
Fucking Archie gets like arrested for an underground fight ring.
Doesn't Archie go to war? Doesn't he join like World War I or something?
Yeah.
Like military, it
gets worse and worse.
Reality, and I'm just like, okay, yeah.
Well, according to IMDb,
there was like half a season where they did like a mob drama.
Yeah.
They are entering season 6, episode 1, the season premiere on the 16th of November of this year.
I've watched all of the show up until now. Then that's unfortunate.
Oh, you've seen all 5 seasons?
I have seen all 5 seasons. That's what makes me uniquely qualified to call
I
it
remember
a piece of shit.
just one day. I don't remember when it was. I assume it was like pre-pandemic because I was still living in the lodge. But Justin Sastre apparently also follows that show, and he just
I don't follow the show. Let's clarify.
He pulls up clips of it on YouTube, and they're just like out of context, but still enough context for it to. I don't know. There was some wild shit that just like I could not understand how a show based off of some fucking Sunday comic could get to the point that the show was getting to. It was insane.
Because like the reason, it was weird because like there have been these like decently modern reinterpretations of Archie that had come out in the comics thing, and like that was sort of unfortunately that was supposed to be like when it was first pitched that they were going to do a show about that. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The CW makes sense for a place that. But then the trailer comes out, and it's like this very dark and gritty color palette, and it's like, ooh, a murder mystery. Like this is not.
Yeah.
What?
Like
what
even within the show, the progression of like events that just gets progressively crazier does not make sense.
And like all the weird supernatural shit they get thrown in, and you're just like.
So do they have like multiple cults in one season?
Yes.
There's like a weird. Is there or is there not a tie-in with Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
I think she's showing up in this season. I think I saw a promo for that.
They definitely exist in the same universe because they talk about each other occasionally, but I think there's never any crossover.
Is Sabrina good? Because I feel like I've heard better things about Sabrina than other. Oh, okay.
It's another thing where like the first season is pretty good and then it just gets weirder.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then there was this
I'll watch it, but.
And then there's the spin-off Katie Keene show with the Josie and the Pussycats characters.
Oh, right, because they're in this universe too.
But it's like, oh wait, they're just having like normal human drama in New York City. We can't make a TV show about it. One season gone.
Oh, come on. They could have just thrown in a murder mystery and then had it go off the rails from there in the same way. Absolutely. Come on.
And then they have a Nancy Drew show, which is like, hey man, we're at Nancy Drew, but what if all the supernatural shit is real? Like, there's actually like weird New England sea demons.
I have not watched that. That does sound like something I would maybe not enjoy but consume.
Yeah, you could if you need something more to consume, Jack. There you go.
The you're
Nancy
mentioning
Drew
of how
on the CW, an inclusive, horny reboot like no other.
What? What do you mean inclusive? What is the inclusivity that is occurring?
How can it be at CW?
There's
old of you to ask that question.
There's bisexual characters on that show. I'm pretty sure gay characters. Yeah.
It is
actual gay characters or like queer baiting gay characters for the 50 millionth time.
Also, I think a lot of characters who were white originally are now black or Asian.
Okay. And horny.
Very CW.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
They're black, Asian, and horny.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, it's on the CW, so the horniness.
Yeah, I think all characters on the CW shows are horny by default.
I can't read this article.
Anyway.
Your mentioning of the original pitch for that Riverdale show reminded me of the fact that they were going to do and potentially still are doing a CW Powerpuff Girls show that is also the same type of take.
That's going to be inclusive and horny.
Yes.
They're all lesbians. I don't make the rules.
Yeah, and then knowing how they've handled fucking familiar relationships in Riverdale, they're probably also going to be somewhat incestuous, which is fucking terrifying. Isn't that a thing? Well, there's like some characters in Riverdale.
Oh, there's like siblings. The one. Yeah. That's like only in the first season, though.
That's in the first season? I thought you said that one was okay. What?
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh my lord. Anyways, if you want to just have a bad time, I think you could just watch any CW show and then go off the rails from there.
There's good CW shows.
For the first
iZombie
season.
is good.
I do like I once again
iZombie's
just rewatching iZombie. I love iZombie.
Yeah, it's a good like. There's like occasionally the CW's like, all right, here's the show where we'll actually could have.
I think iZombie
characters with understandable.
iZombie is an example of shows that do get progressively worse as they go on because they run out of things to do. But it is a good show, and I do enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It has Rahul Kohli.
It does.
That was his big
fantastic.
role.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is fantastic.
I've never seen the show, but I love him.
Great. Rose McIver's great.
It's worth watching for
the
him.
actor plays Major is great.
Yes.
The lady gobbles the brains and understands the murders, right? That's the whole.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the premise. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's horny because it has.
It is very horny.
And like he's like, I want to fuck a zombie. I think.
And
Right?
it's from the guy who did it's Rob Thomas who did Veronica Mars, which was
I love that they make fucking jokes about Rob Thomas.
Yes, they have Rob Thomas.
There's an episode where they have Rob Thomas and he dies. He gets murdered.
Who is Rob Thomas?
Rob Thomas, the musician.
Yeah. So the creator of the show iZombie's name is Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
And then there's Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20, right?
Yes.
Oh,
and he's,
okay.
And then they have him in an episode. He dies. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
As himself, as Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
He's playing
just
some
chilling.
show for.
He plays a corporate event.
Yeah.
And then gets murdered. Pretty fucked
It's
up.
fantastic.
What will their universe do without Matchbox 20 now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I finally wrangled you, Beaks, for an episode, and I did want to talk about something that happened over a month ago, but I just thought was very, very up your alley and also kind of interesting, just in the fact that it's a geopolitical fucking nightmare mess of shit.
Yes.
So
talking about AUKUS.
Yes, AUKUS and
Australia, UK, US.
Yeah, specifically the France is pissed because Australia has backed out of a deal with them to make submarines for Australia. Like France was going to make submarines for Australia for a big ass price tag, and they pulled out because China is getting more aggressive in the South Pacific, and so Australia is now allying with the U.S. and also the U.K., but I mean, I think the main part is that the U.S. is getting involved because they're pretty close.
Well, the U.K. is also involved in, potential. So AUKUS is the treaty and involves a lot of different defense cooperation, deals, basing agreements that, potentially American long-range strike aircraft will be stationed in Australia. Potentially there could be a much more permanent American military presence in Australia, troops deployed there. That's in the cards potentially. The big controversial part, as you alluded to, well, as you said, was the termination of the deal with France's naval group, which is their essentially, state organization that produces naval vessels for France and for export. Who was, in a deal to produce a version of the Barracuda class submarine, which is a submarine in service with the French Navy, which is normally a nuclear submarine. They had a deal to produce a diesel-powered variant for Australia, who had been operating diesel submarines previously. Then all of a sudden this deal gets signed and they back out of the deal because the big thing here is the US is offering, the US and the UK are offering to share their naval nuclear reactor technology with Australia, which is unprecedented. The only time that's happened when the US did it to help the British develop their nuclear submarines. So France was very upset. I guess one criticism of the Australian government, you could say, is perhaps they did not really give them enough signaling beforehand that this was like going to happen. I mean, France is going to get still paid. I mean, they were getting paid year over year for the work they were doing. The contract just ends here. Like they're not getting none of the $66 billion. They're just not. And there's some other things on the French side about difficulties they had with the program and a lot of sort of sticking points regarding local Australian industrial participation, which Australia feels is important. And it makes sense because they want the ability to sort of logistically maintain these submarines themselves rather than having to deal with a longer supply line from France. So they want some industrial participation.
But
that was not going well with France's naval group, which is a story that is perhaps not unique to this case and has happened in other cases dealing with naval group building ships for other countries, and also just in general people dealing with the French defense industry apparatus in general. So yes, so there was just obviously a big diplomatic route, and which is a big blunder on the part of the Australians and the other people involved in this. They should have probably had other things to do to soothe the French.
I think what really got me interested in this, and this we are pivoting off of the main story now to go to how I originally found this, which was a fucking out of the loop Reddit thread, which I linked in the Horsin Around chat. But the main responder here seems to also allude to the idea that because in a way the US and the UK kind of dicked over France by agreeing to this with Australia. Like, obviously Australia was the instigator, but the US and UK also agreed to help out on the other end. This is sort of taking their relationship with France and the EU in general, like sort of distancing that further and further as it seems like maybe NATO is starting to drift apart, which seems like kind of a big deal.
With France specifically, France has always sort of like been very arm's length about, like, they are, they are in NATO now, but they left NATO during the Cold War. Like, France has very kind of a weird arm's length and very independent minded. And obviously, they pissed France off, and it's obviously important to consider your allies' perspectives and feelings, reactions to different things, and but in this case, like, their submarine deal had been going on for a long time with France. They still had not delivered anything to Australia, who wants to replace its submarines. And frankly, from Australia's perspective, like, now there's this incredibly technological advantage on the table. Like, they will be able to get, they could not get, the reason they did not order nuclear submarines from France, because France also provides nuclear submarines, is because they would have to develop essentially an indigenous, like, nuclear industry to fuel these reactors, because those subs, if I recall correctly, the French nuclear reactor design requires a midlife refueling every 15 years.
And they can't. And Australia doesn't have any nuclear.
Yeah, Australia doesn't have the capability to do that, and they would have to stand it up. And obviously, that's very that is a very controversial domestic thing.
Yeah.
So essentially, the deal they're getting from the U.S. and UK is the U.S. and UK reactor technology, like, has reactor. I believe you only have to refuel the reactor, like, at 33 years, and by that time, the hull of the submarine is probably old enough where you need to replace the submarine anyway.
Okay.
So for the Australian perspective, they can get these reactors in these subs, get them delivered to them, and then when it's time to retire the subs, they simply ship it back
them
to the States or the UK, and, like, okay, you guys handle the reactor, dealing with the spent fuel and all that. So they can have the nuclear sub capability, but without a lot of the infrastructure that would make the program way more controversial domestically.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, now, and the capabilities of a nuclear submarine, I mean, obviously you have unlimited range, essentially, because you don't need to refuel it like you do a diesel submarine. The only limit is crew
sanity.
Yes, yeah, and, and supplies. You have to have food and stuff like that on board. So
fucking literally to eat.
Yeah, and also
simply catch fish in the ocean and then eat it.
Easy.
A nuclear reactor, can power a very big submarine, which is good for in terms of your capabilities, but also in terms of you can have a submarine that's more comfortable for crew comfort, which increases your capabilities, because people are not. That was a thing on the previous Collins class. Submarine was like, oh, these submarines are very, very, very cramped, and that limits our patrol timeline for these submarines, because it's just like people are just it's too much. They're too on top of each other. So with a nuclear submarine, you could have a larger boat that can accommodate the crew a little better, as best as you can be accommodated in a fucking metal tube underwater.
A tin can.
Yeah.
I fucking toured some of the submarines that are on display in like naval yards, and that shit is so claustrophobic. I could not imagine living there for months to years, possibly even. Like, God.
No one
does years.
No.
Okay.
I believe the average submarine cruise before, like, because they'll do port. I mean, you might have like a 6-month deployment, but I believe it's 90 days.
Okay.
Inside the sub between port visits generally.
Yeah. But still, even just 3 months, fucking yikes.
Yeah. You're gotta find ways to stay sharp and stay calm under there.
Yeah. But I don't know. This main post that replied to the initial comment or the initial article just probably is a lot more speculative than is worth giving time and credit to.
Yeah,
but...
some of the comments on that one point out that top commenter there talks a lot about the EU and NATO versus AUKUS and China and shit, when that's not really the meat of the issue, as it were.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it seems a little blown up.
Like that's that top commenter talks a lot about the geopolitical implications of the U.S. refocusing on a different hemisphere.
Yeah, sort of leaving the
but
European
completely
focus.
leaves out the actual submarine portion of the issue.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, it is billions of dollars that the French are losing out on, which is I get what they're mad, but at the same time, like, hey guys, this is the defense industry. You didn't deliver, and they got a better offer. Like, if the project was going better and they were already receiving like submarines, like the Australians been like, well, we'll do this defense pact, but like we've already got like a ship about to enter service, like we'll stick with this deal, and maybe like down the line, in 2040 or 2050, we'll reevaluate getting nuke submarines. But right now, and
it's
again,
not like the U.S. they've suddenly stopped caring about like Russia being a dickhead in Eastern Europe. Like, they still care. It's just that the more
they do.
primary threat is
Russia
China.
is perhaps not a global power in relation to the U.S. in the same way it once was.
Yeah, and there's also a sense that Russia, is declining in a lot of ways. Their economy, the effects of sanctions on their economy. Some of their actions. I mean, yes, they've annexed Crimea and that stuff. Grave concern to the international community, but their attempts to they did not achieve the same quick finish for the Novorossiya, the Russian separatists in the Donbass region. I mean, that it was ironic, the Crimea annexation being such a disaster for the Ukrainian military, like, woke them up, and like they overhauled their armed forces. They fired a lot of incompetent, corrupt people in their military hierarchy. They, the U.S. and NATO countries, began training in earnest with them, and so like their military is a lot more capable now because of what Russia did.
It was a wake-up call, and it was a much-needed one.
The Donbass separatists have been, I don't know, much less successful
because they were used to dealing with the old Ukrainian military, but now they got the new Ukrainian military to deal with.
Yes, which has become more capable. And has recently bought some new Turkish medium altitude UAVs to conduct drone strikes with against the.
Oh boy!
So it's like,
We love to see some drones out there.
I mean, but there's a prediction, and I think a lot of people in the defense establishment have focused like, all right, China is the big pacing threat. They're the number one thing. So like, while Russia is still a potential, like, the capabilities of Chinese are higher, and like
and they're being actively more aggressive, right, in the South China Sea, and like
I mean,
around.
they haven't annexed anything yet, like the
like the Russians
and there's been the border disputes they've had with India. There's obviously the Taiwan issue. A lot of things.
And then their fucking Hong Kong is still happening. Like,
I mean, Hong Kong's. I mean, that was. I mean, the agreement about Hong Kong's sort of separate administrative status sort of goes away, I believe, in 2049. So it was just like a matter of time, and I guess the Chinese government got tired of waiting. So, but that was always, I think, unfortunately, going to be the outcome for Hong Kong. But yeah, so that is where a lot of the defense
focus is at.
I mean, if you look at what the Marine Corps is doing with their Force Design 2030, they are very, very much committed to the idea of fighting Russia in the South China Sea, in the island chains. That's
Russia or China. You said Russia.
China. Sorry.
Like Russia's down there now. The Marine Corps has moved
very quickly. Like
Alaska.
The Marine Corps removed all tank. Like they've divested of itself of all of its tank battalions in the Marine Corps. They're retiring all the tanks. They're changing around their force structure. Like I believe they're eliminating military police units. Like they're becoming very different. And I mean, part of that is because this is what they think the threat is, but also like politically, like they know, all right, China is the big watchword, and if we want to continue to get money, because we recognize that the prime budget days of the global war on terror and to a certain extent also the Trump administration are over, like, so our budgets are not going to be increased. They will at best be stagnant.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to attach ourselves to a foreign policy objective or foreign policy area that we think is going to receive a lot of attention, which is obviously China. So that's why, the Marine Corps says, well, the Navy and the Air Force
money flow going.
Yeah, also the Navy and the Air Force are going to be the prime movers in the Pacific theater.
Right.
And the Marine Corps is primarily a ground combat force. They're like, okay, we need to find a mission for us where we can continue
that ground in the South China Sea.
Which is why they're like, okay, we're gonna have smaller units. We're gonna be operating asymmetrically in different islands independently.
It seems so ironic because their whole thing is that they're supposed to be an amphibious branch. Like they deploy off of the Navy.
Yes, I mean, yeah, they weren't always that though. I think people forget the Marines started as like sort of guards on ships and troops on ships for ship-to-ship boarding actions, and they became sort of like It became a big amphibious force really until World War II.
Right, with D-Day and that stuff.
Well, not as people in the Army like to joke, I always love reminding Marines, the largest amphibious operation of all time did not involve them.
Oh, that's fucking great. Love a good Marine jab.
And so it's interesting because this is ironic. There's been a lot there's a British the Telegraph or some British article posted this very clickbaity story about American Marines surrender to British Royal Marines in exercise in California, and it's like, okay. First of all, they neglected to mention the MARSOC Marine Raider Special Operations Troops who were working with the Royal Marines for this training exercise. Second of all,
what was the name of this exercise? What can I Google it with?
Emerald Dagger, I believe, was the name, and it happened. This happens they've had a ton of these exercises over the past years, because and B, it's a training exercise. It's staged somewhat. The conventional Marine troops, infantry troops, are okay, you guys are gonna be OPFOR in this exercise, while these Royal Marine commandos and MARSOC raiders practice these asymmetric warfare techniques. So your job is not
it's just
to
a bit
do
of a
well or win. Your job is to be the force that they test this against. So yeah, of course they lost. They were perhaps not intended to win. There are often things where things are stacked against you, because it's
just a bit of goofing.
It's a training exercise.
A bit of gaffing.
You're supposed to test different training elements. So it's also whenever the Brit-Bongs get uppity, I just like to say the United States Marine Corps is larger than your entire military combined. So yes,
and that's the Marine Corps.
Commandos I recognize are a very elite force. Yeah, of course, they spend 30 weeks for their basic military training course for enlisted personnel. 30 weeks. That's 13 weeks for the Marines.
Yeah,
and that's the longest boot camp in the American military, because the Royal Marine Commandos are not like the American Marines. The Royal Marine Commandos are like a special operations unit.
Yeah,
basically.
They're a little bit better trained than the average Marine, but
just by a little bit. Just
a wee bit.
So it's like like this lack of understanding. But like that, the Marine Corps may be moving in the direction where they become more like the Royal Marine Commandos.
Become more of a special, more specialized.
There's been a lot of
selective,
lot of stuff to. Yeah, well, just a training course where like you learn a lot more skills, and like honestly, to compare, it'd be more like the training that the 75th Ranger Regiment gets in terms of combat skills and special techniques, and learning stuff like breaching, diving, becoming airborne qualified, which is a thing not really most Marines never do, is they never get airborne qualified.
Unless you're a special forces team, you're not really gonna need to get that, but maybe that's changing.
Yeah.
So once again, they're stealing ideas from the better Corps. So. But yeah, interesting times. I'm curious to see how things pan out. Obviously, pray that none of this will have to ever be used, because that would be very bad.
Very scary.
But big moves be happening, because the
things rough. If you think supply lines and stuff are rough in the coronavirus pandemic,
we go to war with China. There's no supply lines, because most of that.
But also like think about it, like there's just cyber attacks happening. At your postal hubs, at hospitals, like just wow, the power grid shut down.
Yeah, is that
when are we gonna get another article about China inserting chips into every super micro server ever made? That was fun.
Yeah.
Fake,
Linksys, over your TDR45, they're jamming our comms with the Linksys routers.
Is that something, like, the cyber aspect, is that something that any of the main cores are addressing? Like, any specific cores addressing that? Or is that just, like...
Cyber, they all have their own cyber warfare units, but, like, the Air Force is particularly invested in the cyber domain.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cyber command that is supposed to coordinate all this stuff. And, we're taking it, like... It's hard to see, like, because, like, it's hard to see preparations for that stuff because it's just so invisible. Like, we don't know, because, like, it's not like, the
not
US
exactly like people are going to be talking about it
on
the open.
Yeah. So it's like we don't know how well we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We maybe like I don't it's hard to quantify. Like as we speak, there could be some attacks that they're stopping right now. Like
attacks that they're creating.
Yeah.
Gotta hand it to the NSA.
Yeah, and the NSA, very capable. So
training on U.S. citizens for the last 20 years, so they gotta be good at.
My favorite thing in the world is when some new fucking malware comes out and people go nuts, and then it comes out 6 months later. Oh, the NSA created it. Sorry guys, we fucked up.
Oopsie.
Some fucking idiot in Russia hacked the NSA and got their top tier malware.
Oops.
Or that's the problem when you use a malware operationally, like when we use Stuxnet against the Iranian reactors, like they look at the code, it's only a matter time before you reverse engineer that. That's the thing with cyber attacks. So you use the enemy can study your attack vector.
They can reverse engineer it, just like we can reverse engineering code. I don't know if I want to say it's easier than reverse engineering physical hardware technology, but in some ways.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing,
perhaps.
With computer stuff, you need some resources, obviously. But even if say China steals an F-35 and they physically have it, they need the industrial capability to build the components in the F-35.
Right. Whereas reproducing code is
they can look at the F-35's engine and they're like, okay, we see this works, but do we know how? Can we do we have the industrial
manufacture the parts,
build the engine? And that is the other question of that.
Yeah. Whereas reproducing code is boot up a VM, put in the program.
Oh, there's certainly, I think
you need hardware and server infrastructure, but
not even hardware. A lot of your cyber ability, as it were, depends on
your knowledge base.
The backup.
So the reverse engineering skill still needs to be there. There's still a lot of work that goes into reverse engineering, software as well as hardware. It's just
an incredible amount of work that goes into finding things that can be exploited.
Yes.
And a lot of your offensive capability is going to be based solely on what you have at your disposal in that.
Just smash the keys and finish it off with smashing enter. Easy
if you were to hand me the greatest malware in existence, but it relies on like being dumped on an iPhone because of a security vulnerability that was patched 3 versions ago, it's a little bit useless to me because I don't have something comparable to that.
Unless you get somebody inside whatever facility or target you're trying to attack, you get their phone, you do something to their firmware of the phone, and then now that becomes a physical attack, and now that becomes significantly more complicated.
And this is a gross oversimplification of the whole process.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's
a conversation. Yeah. On that topic though of NSA malware infecting millions of U.S. operated devices,
that's the real critique of it. Not that they're creating this malware, but that they're hoarding these vulnerabilities. In major systems around the world.
Which potentially could be exploited by
anyone.
By anyone, not just the NSA. That's the thing. The NSA knows about them. Doesn't mean they're the only people who know about them.
Right. Yeah. But they're going through the list of U.S. sanctioned covert operations. I'm just kind of sad that there are a lot of these are really horrible. Like MK Ultra is obviously the big one, but like there's so many of these operations that are on par as like levels of fucked up, but they all have such cool names that I wish they weren't so goddamn cool. We've got
what's your favorite war crime committed against American citizens, Nick?
Let's see.
War crime tier list.
I guess technically not a war crime.
Crime tier list. Let's go.
There's Operation Condor, which is the terror campaign in South America. Operation Bootstraps, transform Puerto Rico's economy into exploitable industrial model.
Oh, fantastic.
Project Artichoke, which was to force morphine addiction for mind control and the use of LSD to induce amnesia. So similar to MK Ultra.
These are all like evil villain plans, and that's the funniest shit
ever. Right, yeah. There was a place called Strawberry Fields, which was next to Guantanamo, and it was a hidden black site for CIA prisoners located near the prisons at Guantanamo Bay. Let's see. Greystone, which is a multitude of sub-programs, mostly illegal renditions and interrogations in Afghanistan. That's a baller as hell name.
You'd love to see it.
MK Naomi.
Nothing more baller than torturing political prisoners.
But the name. MK Naomi, which is a very original naming schema, which was biological and chemical warfare capabilities testing, unspecified on what or on whom. Mockingbird, which is a domestic op for manipulation of U.S. media, which included wiretaps and purchasing of media companies.
Oh, okay. Very fun.
They have one called Project Resistance, which is fucking hilarious because it was focused on infiltration and dismantling of anti-war and civil rights groups.
Wow.
Really cool. Very
wow. That's a pretty good name to be fair.
Very brave to just be that bold-faced with the naming of your operation. But then I think of these ones that are on here, I think my favorite is Operation Merlin is probably my favorite because like goddamn, you're gonna name it after a fucking wizard and then
what's it about though?
The operation was to provide Iran with sabotage design for nuclear components in the hope to cause an accident. So we were hoping that we were going to cause an international nuclear incident in Iran by giving them bad supplies. Oopsies!
That is so fucking funny.
But it's called Project Merlin, which is cool as hell.
If you provide a nation with weapons of mass destruction, you can claim they have weapons of mass destruction. No, Mr. President, we know it to be true this time.
Guys,
our own sources, which are us, we know.
I sold it to them, me personally.
I have the receipt right here.
I have the receipt. They sent the receipt. Here's the check.
I took a selfie
on WMD.
I mean, that's literally. It's literally like
the Venmo,
like sting operations that cops do for trying to like pin drugs on people by selling them the drugs. Like it's the same thing. It's just with nuclear weapon plans.
Bro,
like, holy shit!
God. It's like there are a couple of CIA agents like in the suits and sunglasses at night in an alleyway with like
in Iran, just waiting for an official to pass by.
Hey, kid.
The whole of the Middle East screeching about entrapment.
Fucking like pull open their trench coat with like nuclear like launch codes inside. Like, hey, you want the stuff?
Oh god.
This is so fucking dumb. You know, it's hilarious to consider the absurdity of government in general. Like, it's like we do live in a society and everything. And it's great that like government exists for social like support and whatever. But literally be out here trying to entrap fucking countries with like, hey, here's some faulty nukes. Oh shit, guys. Oh,
Yeah,
nuclear catastrophe. Oh no, who could have seen this coming?
I can't believe.
Maybe I'll go back in time to the 1947 when they were doing the 1947 National Security Act, and just be like, maybe this whole Central Intelligence Agency thing, maybe we just, you can
just cut that shit out.
You can create the Air Force, yeah, whatever, that,
Oh my god.
It's fun.
Gonna go back and name something the Patriot Act before the Patriot Act.
It's somehow very humanizing to understand that our government is just throwing paint at the wall and being like, okay, this looks good. Yeah, okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
It's like, the people up top are as dumb as me. And somehow that puts me on their side, but at the same time makes me go, wow, you guys are fucking okay.
Yeah. You guys... I do want to. I found the Wikipedia article. I posted it in the Horsin Around chat, but I want to pay specific attention to the backfiring of this operation. So specifically, they were trying to get a Russian nuclear scientist to provide bad schematics to the Iranians in the 90s. But things backfired when the Russian contact / messenger noticed the flaws in the schematics and told the Iranian nuclear scientist what the problems were.
Instead of, and it continues to say, instead of crippling Iran's nuclear program, the book alleges Operation Merlin may have accelerated it by providing useful information once the flaws were identified.
So they literally went, this part looks wrong, but everything else, that's good.
Yeah.
And then they just gave them the fucking instruction manual.
Oh my god!
What they did was they gave them a math problem to solve, and they solved it and became smart. America.
Underestimating our opponents since nearly the inception of the country.
At least here's the thing where you gotta point out Israel's much more straightforward approach to this. Like, oh, the French are building you a nuclear reactor, Saddam. All right, we're just gonna bomb it. We're not gonna do any like weird covert operation. We're just gonna fly some F-16s over there. We're gonna bomb it.
That's what the Israelis did.
Come on. I'd love to sit in on like
the planning session. Oh, the after action reports.
After action, yeah. We're like they're all like all these like white dudes are sitting around the table going, who could have seen this coming? God,
like the end of Burn After Reading with J.K. Simmons, where he's just like, what the fuck happened?
Oh my god! Look, Mr. Clinton, I know you're busy with this Monica Lewinsky deal. But we gotta let you know that the Iranians may have learned how to develop nuclear technology because we basically just gave it to them. I don't know how this is gonna happen.
Fucking Brad Pitt as the fitness trainer.
John Malkovich as the disaffected CIA op, and he's just like, he's getting fired, and then he goes, you have a drinking problem. No, Steve, you're a Mormon. You think everything's a fucking drinking problem.
Seth Rogen's in the room as well, like. It's like it's like the Dictator or whatever.
What was that North Korean movie that they did?
Interview,
Oh yeah, the interview.
That movie sucked.
I would love an interview style movie on Operation Merlin. That'd be so fucking funny.
Did you watch the Quarter Digital had Seth Rogen on their show?
Yeah,
and they broke down the effects and they described how they had to change the death scene for Kim Jong Un to try and make it less like inflammatory.
Really? What was it originally?
Apparently, like the skull, like they were gonna do like he gets blown up in a helicopter and then like consuming an explosion, but they were gonna do more like a
Raiders of the Lost Ark style.
Yeah,
like
laser, like skull, face melting.
like it all gets blown. Like, because I think in the shot itself, it's just like his cheeks are jiggling and it's just
he just gets blown off screen by like fire. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Originally it was supposed to be like just a full on like shockwave. Like it would have been cool. That would have been cool. That would have been awesome. That would been so cool. Yeah, no, but fucking if they, oh man, Seth Rogen. If you ever watched this episode of Horsin Around,
Seth Rogen, fan of the show.
Fan of the show.
Big fan.
Operation Merlin. And, like, this gold here.
It's gold.
Look.
I'm surprised there hasn't been more shit done on this, to be quite honest. This is so hilariously, like, just inept American espionage that this seems like totally should have been picked up by now, but I guess not.
The name Merlin, as well. Like I mean, you're right. Like,
it's such a good name. Like, perfect for a movie. I will give an honorable mention to what was it? Was it Operation Mongoose? Where is it? It's somewhere in here. But it was supposed to be the follow-up operation to the Bay of Pigs. Yeah. Operation Operation Mongoose was the attempt to assassinate Castro. Which one of these was... Operation 40. Okay, that's kind of a lame name, but it was intended to seize control of Cuba after Bay of Pigs.
What are you talking about, bro? Black Ops 1.
Well, I know that's where they got their inspiration from, but I just wish it had a better name.
Member of a CIA Operation Assassination Squad known as Operation 40. What do the numbers mean?
What do the numbers?
What do the numbers
What do they mean? But they fucked up Bay of Pigs, so they had to cancel that operation.
I wanna find all the operations that backfired. I wanna understand.
Oh, you want some real funny shit? They make how the military makes those what are they called? The coins. You know what I'm talking about, Beaks, right? Where they have the
challenge coins.
Challenge coins, yes. And so they often commission challenge coins for successful military operations. And there's apparently a very rare challenge coin for the Bay of Pigs invasion because it kind of failed. So they didn't really want to use any of those coins after the colossal failure of Bay of Pigs. Yeah. But those exist.
Assad's got some operation names.
The fucking CIA Twitter tweeted about it.
What?
They have a CIA Twitter that tweets about CIA history and stuff like that. Yeah. Man, but Mossad, though, the Israeli intelligence service has a great operation names. They don't mean, but Operation Wrath of God.
Oh my fucking lord, that is... Yeah, alright, Israel. You can...
Mossad's assassination campaign against the people involved with the Black September terrorist attack, the 72 Munich Olympics against Israeli athletes. They're like, oh.
We're just calling this an act of God right now. That's what we're calling our operation.
We believe God is on our side. Now you
isn't it also just general etiquette that or not etiquette? I know it's like a thing in for the U.S. where for assassination missions they don't say, oh, we need you to assassinate this person. They'll say we need this person to have an accident, or we need this person to will not.
I'm sure that's something along I don't know if it's officially codified, but I'm pretty sure anytime.
Well, peacetime assassinations are illegal under the U.S. code, specifically. So there's been some creative license around that stuff about types of war. I mean, that was the big or at least peace. The military can't be involved in peacetime assassinations, maybe more specifically. So that is why when the SEALs crossed the border to Pakistan to go get Bin Laden, they were under Title 50 CIA authority. So they were sheep dipped, as the slogan goes. Yes.
I just jack off of that Twitter post that you found. The fucking
hose mad.
The hose mad fucking edit on the newspaper. It was so good. That Castro is holding up after the fact. We love to see it. Oh man.
So,
Anyways, yeah. So there's some funky operations out there that you should definitely look into, because there's a lot of them. Believe it or not, we've tried a lot of bullshit in the past. Unfortunately,
a list of backfired
the
CIA
U.S. covert ops.
Yeah.
While you're looking that up, I did want to touch on something that you dropped before the podcast started, which was in itself a tangent from the nuclear sub discussion, which was the Colombian submarines that were used to peddle cocaine.
the 10 tons of cocaine drug sub.
Yeah. What? First of all, what the fuck is this website that you? Oh, this is CNN's blog, but it's
I don't know what's wrong.
Any formatting. It's very strange. But yeah, authorities in Colombia. When was this? Of 2011. So this is old news, but it's a fun story. Of authorities in Colombia have confiscated 2 narco subs, submersibles designed to smuggle cocaine, since Friday. So they specifically made custom submarines. That's just how much money the cartel fucking had.
Yeah.
Just like, let's just
10 tons of cocaine is a lot of cocaine.
That is a lot. You'd
definitely
be set
worth
for life.
building a sub for.
Yeah. Fun shit going on. I wonder if there's still any like active narco subs out there.
Maybe.
They're doing like deep op missions,
probably.
like fucking, like they haven't surfaced in like months.
Yeah, they're more intense than the than like,
Ecuador
the
sailing ship
militaries.
captures a narco sub from October 25th, 2021.
Hell yeah!
Yes.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's gotta be embarrassing. A fucking sail ship like pulls up and you're like
An
out running mad.
18th century sailing ship belonging to the Ecuadorian Navy.
No,
Holy fuck.
no,
Yeah,
can you please link this?
Oh my god, there are photos of the ship.
Please link this. I need to see it. Holy shit, that's too fucking good.
This is fantastic.
Oh my
It's
god!
it's a training ship.
Yo-ho, a pirate's like for me.
Wow.
This is incredible.
Oh my god. Interdicted the narco sub in international waters between the exclusive economic zones of Colombia and the Ecuadorian islands in the Pacific.
That is beautiful.
Wow.
That is, you cannot write. This is one of those things that you actually cannot write.
No,
like,
nobody would be able to make this.
Beautiful.
If you made this shit up and tried to say this happened, nobody would fucking believe you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
To be fair, this is a large ship running down a small sub, which is apparently only powered by a couple outboard engines.
Yeah, no, these are obviously very low maintenance and
this
low
is fucking
efficiency
hilarious.
subs, but wow. Oh, that's fucking great. Sailors train regularly in the man with most of the capabilities. Well past 10 knots. Wow. Incredible. Quickly learn these 4. Yeah, so it's sure it's just training Navy members. I'm just curious if it details more about the narco sub. Steam powered, blah blah blah.
It talks a little bit about them in general, but not about that one specifically.
Oh, most narco subs are actually LPVs, which are essentially boats with most of their bulk below the waterline. So it's a technicality, but I'll still call them a sub because it's funny.
Like you can see the photo there.
Yeah,
the engines obviously are above water.
Right.
They're just painted gray.
But that's fucking great. Love it. Love that this is a thing that happened in the real world, and once again proving that truth is oftentimes stranger than fiction. And I think on that note, we've passed the hour mark. So thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a blast of a podcast covering a wide range of geopolitical and military-based topics.
This is just a geopolitical podcast
and
now.
supernatural.
And supernatural. We gotta cover the
Supernatural.
gamut. We always cover the gamut of topics here. You'll never know what you're gonna get. It's usually the same things, but you never know the combination of them. That's the beauty.
We didn't
of
talk
it.
about economics at all.
We
today,
did not.
Jacob.
Well, okay.
Jacob's
I'm gonna.
not here.
Yeah,
Jacob's
Jacob
not
Stenstrom
here.
was not here.
Yeah.
You get Beaks, you get Beaks, you get the military talk. You get Jacob, you get the economic and political talk. And then you get the rest of us, and we end up just talking about some other fucking bullshit with supernatural or internet shit.
Look,
But
man, I'm prepared to talk about online animated porn.
Oh yeah, we were looking that shit up, but maybe we'll say that for next week if you want to come back around.
Do another Disney women tier list.
No, we're not doing that on stream. I was joking.
No. We're absolutely doing that on stream.
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining me, and thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, as always, stay safe out there, and peace out.
Bye.
I'm Brown.